My name is Brian Rodgers, and I'm here with ChangeAustin.org. You've probably heard this one, but Tom Mason, general manager of the LCRA, told a gathering a while back, water doesn't flow downhill, it flows towards money. In this case, it's water and our money, $13.5 million of ratepayer money flowing to subsidize a racetrack backed by two billionaires, Bernie Ecclestone with $2.1 billion and Red McCombs with $1.3 billion. Why is the city taking $13.5 million from the pockets of Austinites to provide free water and wastewater lines to a privately owned Formula One track? Money taken from the water rate hikes on everyday citizens and gifted to Fortune 400 billionaires. Just 3 months ago, water utility officials were wringing their hands and begging for utility rate hikes for essential capital improvements. And now this. Assistant City Manager Rudy Garza said the city reimburses for large water lines all the time, and there's very rarely anything unusual about such a request. Well, let's talk about that. Just because we do it doesn't make it right, just, or fair. I called around to the other peer cities in Central Texas and found out, guess what? Austin's policy of 100% reimbursement is far and away the richest in the area, far more than any other city. I spoke with Wayne Watts, Leander city engineer, who told me flat out, quote, the developer is responsible for whatever cost it takes to serve his development. If we require the developer to oversize the pipe, we will pay only the actual incremental cost between, say, a 16-inch pipe and a 30-inch pipe. It's a good deal for the city. We don't want the rest of the ratepayers to be subsidizing the development of others. Now, he said that. I didn't prime him. I asked him about Austin's 100% reimbursement policy for large pipes, and he laughed. Austin can afford to be a whole hell of a lot more generous than us. They are overflowing with staff. We don't have the resources to do so. That's the Leander. Danny Holden, Round Rock city engineer, said they have a pipe oversized formula of $2.60 per inch per linear foot, which the city reimburses to the developer. Garrett Brown, senior engineer, Cedar Park, said, quote, our policy is very similar to Leander and Round Rock. In some cases, the city will reimburse the developer the cost of oversizing. Matt Bushak, city engineer of Hutto, said, we use the same policy as Round Rock when it comes to extending water lines. We don't reimburse any of that unless it's an oversized line. If they're required to oversize it for future development, then we'll pay the difference in oversizing costs. But we don't reimburse design costs or any of that either. Glenn Deshawn, Water Services Director of the City of Georgetown, we pay for some oversizing, and I could tell you what their schedule was. So why is this water utility giving away our money, the ratepayers' money, for water lines? The usual rationalization that I hear is this: Brian, we may reimburse 100% of the water lines, but we make it back up in the water we sell. Well, that's especially not true in this case. If this were still a housing development, the city's projected water sales of 220 million gallons per year might make a dent. But as an F1 track, sales of only 5 million gallons per year will leave us deep in a hole. Even at some distant build-out, it reaches only 9% of the sales of the previous proposal. In fact, this is the worst kind of utility customer. They create a spike in demand, requiring a set-aside for plant capacity, but produce little revenue. But here's another subsidy that doesn't get any news play. After we gift these billionaires $13.5 billion for the water lines, we'll sell them 2,300 water and wastewater service units at a price far cheaper than our cost, far cheaper than any other city or water provider in the region. And you remember this from my budget presentation to the utility. We sell a water tap in the ETJ for $1,800 and a wastewater tap for $1,000 for a total of $2,800. Pflugerville charges $4,817. We charge $2,800. Hutto charges $5,431. We charge $2,800. Leander charges $5,295. We charge $2,800. Round Rock charges $6,829. And what do we charge? $2,800. Georgetown, $66.92. We charge $2,800. But our capital cost for one water and wastewater tap in this part of the ETJ is close to $14,000. That's up from $10,298 cost calculated in the 2007 impact fee ordinance. We lose $10,000 for every set of taps we sell. We sell Bernie and Red 2,300 of these taps at $10,000 below cost, and we lose $23 million. Add that to the $13.5 million, and we have a $36 million water infrastructure giveaway. It's a wealth transfer from the existing residents, especially burdensome to the poor and the middle class, to billionaires. So I heard some people talking about economic development. I didn't know which analogy I was going to use, which metaphor. Is this a cotton candy rush that will be over in 10 years or less? Or is this a cruise ship economy? I don't know if you're familiar with a cruise ship economy, but let's say you're an island, you're a port city. Here comes the cruise ship. They land, the marching band comes up, the natives run around trying to sell them sunglasses, alcohol, and trinkets, and then 4 o'clock they all get back on the boat and leave, and everybody's sitting around marginally employed. This is the same kind of event 3 times a year. Yeah, there'll be some other stuff, but once it's gone, it's boom and bust, and they're not going to say, this isn't a 15-year business. Maybe it's a 10-year business. We don't know what the lifespan of these are. But it will go, and then we're going to have another hole in our economy. We suffer from boom and bust. This is a boom and bust business, and we don't need to be a part of it. And finally, Austin's been playing like we're the energy conservation leader, sensitive to the environment, an idea city, a Pecan Street leader, a solar center. If we subsidize a racetrack, well, we can just take that carefully crafted image and punt it into the bleachers, because at that point, it'll just be a punchline. So I ask, this vote is a test of who you all represent, of where your heart lies with the citizens in Austin or the Fortune 400. Some of you are running for re-election. Will you vote today to pick the pockets of the ratepayers? Stop selling Austin short. Charge them the true cost, and they will still come. Thank you.